ready to go.
Yeah, so welcome everyone. We are here. This is our final meeting for the year. After I was saying after a meeting for over a year now and finishing up our school year in the next week or so. Many of you, some people may have already finished, and just kind of wanting to celebrate the fact that the amazing work that you all have been doing, CDS and the SAUs and our collaboration. And so our Commissioner Pender Macon is here to just give a shout out to all of you. So go ahead, Pender.
Thanks, Erin. Yeah, I did want the opportunity to extend my deepest gratitude. I'm in awe of what you have all accomplished this year. It's something that hasn't been accomplished like for 40 years or so. Like there's this effort of getting these children to be educated with their typically developing peers and to have them involved in their school districts. And like for all those years, all those failed attempts or people that said it couldn't be done, and all of you have made it happen. And I guess I would say, like, to the district folks, you are like trailblazers who are you took, I think I would say, a very good calculated risk, but I mean, it's a risk and extra work. And I'm so grateful for the fact that you did that. And honestly, I do predict, I'm hearing that there are the outcomes for these children who are, have made the transition in year one have been through the roof. And generations from now, things will be better and different because you guys took that risk. And I'm so grateful that you did. And then I have to acknowledge the CDS, especially like the site directors and my DOE team, Megan and Aaron and Sandy and all of you and Paula, and the extra work you all took on to make this happen is just, it's huge. And I know that it probably feels thankless a lot, and it's been overwhelming and really extra busy, and nobody had additional bandwidth. And so I guess I'm just here to say I'm speechless. It's unusual for me to be speechless, but it's pure gratitude from my heart to all of you for having taken this on. It's the most important thing I think that will have happened educationally in our administration. That's what I truly believe. I think that this work is going to make a much better future for so many kids and for our state. And I'd like to hang around, if I could, for a little bit on your meeting before I go back into an AI meeting that is less inspired. And I'm here, if there's anything you want me to know or you want to tell me anything, you can ask me any questions. You can stump me easily. So, but if you don't mind, I would love to just bask in the glory of what you all have accomplished. And thank you. That's it. That's my speech. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Oh, that was fantastic. I mean, obviously the DOE team keeps Commissioner Macon informed of all these things, and but she also hears from the field, about how this is, and we know that again, families in these communities are. I've heard from a lot of you how connecting with families in this age group has just been a really positive experience, connecting and forging like a positive relationship instead of doing that kind of forced transfer. And and I think the collaboration again between CDS, the massive DOE team that is working on this, and really paving the way for the SAUs that are coming after you. And I know lots of you are being called on to meet with those SAUs that are like, what is it like? How are you doing this? What do we need to know? So we appreciate all of you. Like Pender said, you're complete trailblazers in this work and taking this leap of faith. I think it's been challenging, but there's been some great things that are happening and no unmet need in your area, which is why we're doing this. So thank you all. I'll pass it over to Jen or Sandy. Which one?
I'm going to take it for just a couple seconds here. I just wanted to remind everyone that we sent out information around training for the BDI and the DAY-C. If you're having trouble with the link, have just email me. And there was an issue with the link on the flyer, so reach out to me and I will get the link back out to you. We've had 35 people sign up so far, so yay. Just reach out if you need to sign up. And then just a reminder that the July 1 child count is coming up. So, we want to get that ready and so we can get that out in a timely fashion. Paula, myself, and Kim will be working on that. So you'll get an email from me probably in a couple of weeks as a reminder. And as far as I know, we're using the same form that we used the last quarter for our child count. And reach out if you have questions. Thank you. Now I'll turn it to Sandy.
Hi, and I am going to turn it right over to Nicole Medor. She has a quick message that she would like to share with us.
What is my message, Sandy?
Oh, you are sharing about the fellowship, the Early Learning Team Fellowship.
Thank you very much. Yes,
you're welcome.
In partnership with Maine Roads to Quality, our early learning team has conducted a number of cohorts over the last few years, supporting administrators in elementary schools who may not have an early childhood background in better understanding best practice in early childhood development. So we just finished in March our most recent cohort, and information and registration is now open for our next cohort, which is set to begin in October, and it will run through March. So it's a 6-month training professional learning group that meets and does a hybrid of online coursework as well as in-person meetings and virtual meetings and gatherings to discuss the learning. So we had a couple of years that we considered pilot years. From that, we learned a lot about format, about timing, about content. And so we really are feeling confident that we've come to a place where we're offering a really high quality experience for administrators. We can take, I believe, up to 30 public school principals, curriculum coordinators, special education directors, etc. We do have a few that are currently registered, but there's certainly room for more. I'll throw a link into the chat box on where folks can read more information about that and find the link to register as well. But the kickoff will be at the end of October. It starts at the Early Childhood Conference, which is an annual conference held every year with Maine AEYC. And then we wrap up in March. So happy to share that link. And thank you, Sandy, for that reminder, because I was caught off guard.
That's okay. And I will have to say you did a great job rallying there, Nicole. So thank you for that information. And we will make sure to send out that link in an email as well to everyone in Cohort 1. Okay, so the next piece of information is not as exciting. I just wanted to let everyone know that we have updated our rate sheet. So this is the rate sheet that we have set for what the support and service hubs will be offering starting in the fall. And so we will send that out in an email. I just wanted to let you know that we've added a few things to that and just wanted to get that out to you so that when we start meeting to look at MOU development this summer, you will have that information when we discuss if you need support or services from your local CDS site. And now I would like to turn it over to Susie Perry, and just want to take a second to thank Susie Perry for all of her hard work and dedication this year. She has really been a huge support for all of us learning about what early childhood special education looks like in other states and helping develop this framework within our own state. And Susie always reminds us that this is to really look at this as an opportunity to set this pathway forward with best practices and evidence-based practices for children with disabilities in this age group. And really, Susie, I couldn't have done it without you. I know many people feel the same way on our team. And so I wanted to just take a second to thank you for that. And Susie has prepared something for everyone.
Been a great opportunity to work with you, and I've enjoyed every minute. So let me pull up my screen here and share that. And I'm going to move this here. There we go. So we would like to take a few minutes to share some differences a year makes. And just as a heads up, towards the end of this presentation, I'd like to ask you about some of your thoughts about things that have gone well, things that you've noticed, changes, benefits, improvements, challenges that you've overcome, and just take a moment to really reflect on the hard work that you've done and really the difference that you've made for the families that you're serving in early childhood special education. We'd like to recognize that each school district who has participated this year has demonstrated the values that contributed to the success. These values are teamwork, collaboration and dialogue, flexibility, meeting challenges head on, thinking of the future, acknowledging the past, listening to each other, believing in yourself, and finally, trusting the process. And something that we've talked a lot about is this idea of building the plane while we're flying it. And over the course of this year, you heard us remark that we felt like we were building the plane while flying it. So in dedication to that experience, we thought we'd play this clip.
Some people like.
Oops, I know it. I bet I didn't click on the share the audio.
But we heard
People like to climb mountains. I like the big.
You didn't hear the audio, right?
No, I heard it.
Oh, you did? Okay, awesome.
Build planes in the air. A plane wanting to be at the top. Thanks to the altitude reach 60 below. It's refreshing. You never know what you're going to come across up here. A&D, dollars. These people back here, that's why I come to work. I build airplanes in the sky. You got a little kid. I look at his eyes. That's all the things I need.
That's a good one. Love that. So just joining us on this journey was a statement of the strength and commitment that you have to the children and the families in Maine. You joined. 16 programs persisted to offer a FAPE to its youngest learners. And in doing so, you inspired another group. You helped others to take on the commitment as well. 22 more schools have joined up. And it makes us wonder, who will be next? How might you share not only what you've learned, but how it benefited you and your families? You have been inspirational in your efforts. And now a little data, as you know, I like to bring into the conversation. During the first year of the cohort, as everyone was starting school, you shared that you expected 171 students to attend. Over the course of the year, you reported serving 336 students. That's a 96% increase, almost double what you thought. And cohort 2 is expecting 272 children next year. And if they increased by 96%, they would be serving over 500 children at the end of the year. And as of right now, we don't have a count for cohort 1. So with this group, what you're planning on, but if for next year, But if you're anticipating your numbers of children to be the same as last year, that would be almost 1,000 preschoolers that we would be serving next year, and which is about 1/3 of the child count that we have in total across the state of Maine. So we have typically about 3,300 kids. So if we're up to 1,000 next year, we've managed to serve within and provide a FAPE from school districts of about 1/3 of the kids. So that's incredible. Another thing that I'd like to share with you is some of the changes with respect to the environments in which preschool age children are enrolled. So a greater percentage of the children were served in regular early childhood programs than in prior years, just using the October 1 child count numbers. So you can see that there were fewer kids in separate classes by a lot. And there were greater numbers of kids enrolled in regular early childhood programs, getting their special education services in those programs by a lot. So that's a really incredible accomplishment. I can just look forward to seeing this expanding out with the additional programs that are going to be offering preschool special education next year. So great work. In terms of the professional development, there were 31 hours of collaboration, discussion, and professional development for SAUs in Cohort 1. So thinking about the weekly, bi-weekly, and additional meetings that we offered to you, we were able to count up about 31 hours of attendance. And then these were some of the topics that were presented. Come on. We had everything from the law, from funding, what is your FAPE obligation? What are MOUs? What is the COAST process? What is the BDI? What are LRE scenarios? What's a mixed delivery system? Let's talk about discipline and behavior and enrollment, Head Start, data collection, grants, state funding, partnerships, meeting the CDS directors, MOUs in the mixed delivery system. There were lots and lots of presentations given over the course of the year to help us really participate and be able to effectively serve the kids in our early childhood special education programs. So fantastic work on putting all of those together. And then the process of furnishing preschool classrooms is another thing that I think we wanted to share, and we're really reflecting on how beneficial that was. And this process considers, first of all, what children need. So really outlining, like what should be in a classroom, and then looks at what schools already have, and then finally deciding what it is that needed to be purchased. And so Lori Whittemore really headed up this project and worked with teachers and administrators to help recommend and purchase new materials for 37 classrooms. And I can't really remember, and maybe Lori, you could jump in and say, but I think it's almost $1 million that was spent on furnishing new classrooms and getting these programs ready for having kids come in and attend. And the results in many cases were pure joy for teachers and students as they saw their classrooms transform. So we saw, after this envisioning process, there's the making the dream come true process. And one of the most remarkable pictures I saw was this one here where this is just the unboxing of the materials, and that, taking up hallways worth of boxes and emptying to set up and to make this a reality for the preschool children and for the teachers. And so to quote some of the children, "I like everything. I can't pick one thing because the whole classroom is very fun now, and us kids can never get bored with all this great stuff. And I love the dollhouse. Did you see all the stuff that goes in that thing? There's so many things. We have to be careful not to lose them. And while having stuff is part of the process of providing access to early learning programs, there are many things you did to create environments for the preschool children in your community. So now it's your turn to share some of the things your team did, what you learned, or what you now think about preschool, having gone through this over the course of this year. So what are some of the highlights of this past year for you? What would you like to share? And I know Erin always asks me, stop sharing, Susie, so
Yeah.
we can see others'
Also,
faces.
share in the chat if you're, if you're not in a position where you can unmute.
Yes. Some of the highlights of this past year for you.
Go ahead, Beth.
Usually I'm asking questions, but I'm happy to share today. I will say that we have over 80 children in York and Kittery who are being served without a waiting list. The highlights have been the gratitude from the families, the opportunity to build relationships with our preschool providers in the community because we only have a limited public pre-K, the opportunity to build our relationships with the clinical providers in our communities. It's not been without its stressful moments and some confusion and some winging it at times. But it has overall been something that has been just, I would say, one of the highlights of my career in 35 years in special education in Maine.
Thank you.
I will also share that the growth has been incredibly exponential. We've seen kids go levels and levels at this age, which is exciting.
I'll share. So RSU 29, the only one in Aroostook County, and I'm trying to recruit as hard as I can. We really are, to get more involved. I think one thing is the support from DOE, CDS team was very helpful. And as the superintendent, Paula, thank you for the guidance of how does this work financially? What does this do for us? Because that's the scary part, right? Do we have enough space? Do we have enough staff? Can we do this? Our staff has been outstanding. Renee is our director, has done a fantastic job. Is even presenting, I think, at some point in time in the summer, hanging out somewhere at one of these meetings coming up. But the growth is the piece I'm excited about because we came across situations and families like where would they have been? There wasn't placement, there wasn't areas for them to be in. And we even added students even a couple of months ago because they didn't have a place. And that's the piece I think that we're excited about is offering that place. I'm excited to see what happens as we continue our growth in our enrollment. Do we stabilize some enrollment things because we're getting them early and they're knowing the school system, they're knowing the teachers, they're knowing the building, and that's a piece with that. And then the flexible model that we're doing, that if we need some more space, I think we have some partners in the area that we'd like to continue building relationships with. And it's a small area to do that in, but I think we're going to capitalize on everything we can. So.
Thank you. It's wonderful.
I know Scott Rooney always has something to say. I am shocked that you haven't unmuted.
I'm just trying to ignore. No, I'm actually trying to generate a list. So I would say that the highlight of the year were the unintended consequences, which were really good. We had ourselves in a cash shortfall that funding coming in actually braced our bank accounts so we didn't have to borrow money. That was a benefit. The other benefit that just happened this morning was because the state, our IDEA fund allocations, I'm able to use in the preschool money to put in an adaptive playground. And then let's see. Number 3 would have probably been the Minotaur bus, which had the built-in car seats and 5-point safety harnesses for the kids. I would say that those 3 things, I know they're things, but those were highlights of the things that we could do because we were in this cohort for our students. The other thing that we were able to do just by accident was we had a separate initiative going with adaptive PE, so we've been able to fully integrate adaptive PE into our pre-K programming. There's lots of benefits. I just thought I'd focus on the ones that we did by accident. So, all right.
Great. Sounds amazing.
I think I would just share that I would concur with all of what everyone else said for RSU 19. We've been able to make a lot of contacts with our local daycare and childcare facilities that has really kind of brought the program kind of full circle and being able to offer all of those early interventions for students that they weren't quite sure what to do with prior. The other thing, a passion for me is the fact that I'm our McKinney-Vento liaison. About 25% of our pre-K students who came into us this year were in families who were experiencing some level of homelessness. So that has helped to be able to provide those supports to families who were kind of out there without any supports or any way to, or, the means to contact support to get assistance. So we've been able to kind of wrap around the full family rather than just the student. And that's been a really positive thing for us as well.
Incredible. Thank you, Sheila. Stella. Well, I would like to leave space for in case anybody comes up with an idea, but I do have a couple of other thank you slides here to share. If I can find it. There we go. So those were some really amazing highlights. Thank you for sharing them, and keep sending them in to us. It helps us to connect with future schools to tell them what they might be experiencing if they were to join up as well. And so from your Department of Education team, from your Early Learning and CDS team, from your Child Development Services Regional Directors team, we would like to thank you for all of your work this year and hope you have a great summer, and wanted to let you know that you are the best. We're so glad that you signed up and we had the chance to work with you this year. And please reach out again, as always, to our offices. If you need anything, we like to be challenged by your questions and try to come up with answers to meet your needs always. So I will hand this back over to Sandy, and thank you all for coming today. Stop my share.
I feel like this might have been better if we'd had like pomp and circumstance in the back. Graduation, you guys, this is cohort 1. We are done with our cohort 1 meetings. We will have some meetings next year specific to professional development topics. But other than that, you have really finished your first year in cohort 1. It's been amazing to work with all of you. And thank you for everything that you have done. Please reach out. We will have some open office hours this summer that you will be invited to. You can reach out to any one of us here at DOE or CDS to help support you. with any questions, and we will be setting up those MOU meetings. But thank you so much.